Hey everyone, how's it going? Octopus here and welcome back to evercrisis and the new year. Before I start off, happy New Year's 2025. I know 2024 for me near the end was really rough. Thing happened to my daughter. I stopped making videos. I stopped doing a lot of things. And then I slowly came back to streaming, doing things I normally did. Everything's not okay yet, but it's getting better. So I just want to start off by saying happy New Year's, guys. I'm sorry I've been gone for so long. I don't think it needs an apology, but I do feel bad that I haven't been here for so much of the content or just hanging around with you guys as well. But the year's going to start off. Hopefully I'm back to making videos. I'm crossing my fingers. We're going to start off with Tifa's and Aerith's new banner, Ultimate Weapon, talking about the future banners, comparing them, my thought process of like what I want to do and how much pressure there is as a free-to-play player with the amount of banners that they're popping out with them being limited. It's hard. Really, really hard. But I'm gonna start with the video, talk about the actual stamp card, go into the actual banners, giving you guys a wish list, and just go back to making videos again. So happy New Year's again. Let's jump in and let's start off with Tifa. So the banner itself is like the first year anniversary. The Bahamut weapons for Tifa, Aerith, Cloud, Yuffie. The stamp page is not that good. It's actually really bad. The first two pages only guarantees you an OB2. Where like Vincent's limited banner was guaranteed an OB3. Other banners also guaranteed an OB3 and 2-page stamps. But this one is really, really rough. And on top of it, if you actually go check out the odds of this banner, it gets even worse because now the odds aren't above 1%. It's at 1% instead of like 1.5. You got the 0.8%. So they changed it. It's different. This is what they've been doing with the anniversary stuff. I guess New Year's counts as that kind of category for them. Other limited banners have been a little bit different. I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check. Here we go. So you can see here page 1 of Vincent's banner. This was a limited one that you couldn't get anymore. You'll see that on the first page you have a weapon right here in the front. But if I fast forward it to page number 2, you'll see weapon here, and behind me there is another weapon on the last one. But that's because it's a solo character, right? Where this banner is a shared banner with Aerith, so you have a voucher over here instead. And then it carries on into more 5 stars or higher, which I believe is better than the actual anniversary one, but you're dealing with RNG. So guaranteeing you OB6 out of this banner is going to be kind of rough. You're going to go pretty deep. It's going to cost you a lot. And as a free-to-play player, that really, really stings because I am limited on the resources I have. I think I have about 30,000, maybe 31,000 blue crystals if I finish the rest of the content I haven't touched, which is enough to jump in and get a costume. But realistically, it's a scary banner. So be careful. Just want to give you guys a little heads up there. Now, for the actual banner itself and the characters, let's, like I said, start off with Tifa. Tifa looking amazing, just for video's sake, for future reference if I ever need it. This is what her costume looks like. I think it looks really good. And if you're a Tifa fan, it doesn't matter what it is, you're probably going to go for it. Starting off with the costume, this thing is wild. It is worth it as a new player, even a veteran player like myself from day one. I actually don't own any of Tifa's Arcanum costumes, so this one allows you to do everything. Fire, ice, lightning, earth, water, wind, ability damage plus 30%. It is 5% short of Arcanum, so in most situations where you don't need reprieve, you are still going to use your Arcanum costume. So that's something to consider because you still want that 35% boost. But there's going to be a situation where now that Aerith also has reprieve, you're going to have Aerith as your healer, DPS with Tifa here, DPS with Vincent, and now anything that goes wrong, you can just be like, whatever, my character's gonna come back to life. And that's really strong on both DPS and healer. More important for DPS because there's times where the boss nukes your DPS and you need to go for that race and they can't die. Reprieve is a lot more important on a DPS, but an entire team that has a second chance of not dying is really, really strong. So that is where reprieve is, 15 points. You come back with a certain amount of HP and you're invincible, I believe, for 10 seconds. 10 seconds invincibility, which is crazy. So not only does she cover every single aspect of anything, magic or physical damage, she can be fire weapon. Currently, she only has a certain few ones, but this also future-proofs her kit. So as a new player, even an older player who doesn't have her costumes, I think this one is definitely up there as a must-have. Even if you're not a Tifa fan, there's just too much Yeah, this is just too much. It literally feels like too much. It is a little weaker, but it doesn't really matter at 5%. Too much. How many times can I say that? Now, for the weapon itself, the blue daffodil gloves. This is actually really interesting here. So this is a non-elemental damage weapon that can crit, but it also applies exploit weakness. At maxed out, it exploits 40% potency, right? The duration is 70 seconds. That is really good. And that's depending on the enemy you're facing. So any situation, this Tifa is actually really incredible. So at OB, I would say 3, you want to aim for. OB 6 is where you want to sit comfortably just for damage wise, right? 720, it goes up a little bit more. Our abilities will get kicked up as well. But you do want to get to a place of OB6 to have that guaranteed 1,000 damage. So if you are casting this, it lets you do that extra damage where the potency down here is at 25%. So I think this thing's incredible. I do believe that if you just want the costume, you don't have to worry about this, and you can save all your future weapon parts. You're gonna get a guarantee one of this on the first page, and if you get lucky, you might get more. Our ability wise, it has the first weapon in the game to give you boost attack all allies. The only other thing that does this is the first anniversary Bahamut gear. That's all those costumes. That has it on there, but this is the first weapon. Now, it's nothing super huge and incredible, but if you do max it out, 13% up is 13% up. As a back weapon, you get those guaranteed 15, I believe, over here. So you get 7% up. So better than nothing. It is a different unique R ability, and it comes with boost ability potency as well. So this is made for overall. It doesn't care that if it's like physical or magical. This is the best R abilities to put on this character because her new costume allows you to use both physical and magical weapons. Then when it comes to the actual abilities, got X Sigil, perfect, great physical attack on it, 679, magic attacks at 578. Kind of wish I was a little bit more balanced out, but this weapon is pointing towards a physical build, but the R abilities allow you to use it on anything. With that being said, this makes Tifa still one of the top characters in the game for DPS, and she's more versatile than ever. When it comes to a wish list, you guys do want to grab all of her weapons that allow her to do this damage. Currently, Tifa has this fire magic weapon sitting at 940% with a 1.2 multiplier right there. Huge value. You've got yourself magic fire. Then you got the 2 weapons for water damage. This is the one that buffs her, and this is the one that does the actual damage. 850% with magic attack is increased every time you go for an attack, up to high eventually. Great R abilities. So now you have a water setup. If you want to do her ice setup, you've got a physical ice setup. Even her wind setup that didn't exist before, it did, especially in the beginning of the game. Motor Drive was a very powerful weapon. Really hard for free-to-play to get this at a point where it made difference, but for anyone that did max it out back then, 790% without Arcanum still did a lot of damage. Now you have 30% increase from your costume. It is now a viable source of damage for wind damage. So right away you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 setups. She has limited weapons as well too, like her lightning one. And that's just from now, plus more in the future. So tons of resources just on Tifa alone. All right, so to wrap all this up, I think that if you want a really strong character right now, and it makes a big difference. Just one copy of this weapon, having exploit weakness at 25% is ridiculously strong. It is going to improve your game, but if you can get your weapon parts like I talked about earlier, just grab this weapon once and then just get it to OB6 throughout time, that 40% exploit weakness on any of her setups makes even the motor drive a very powerful setup with a 30% on her costume, 790 on the actual weapon for potency, and then that 40% exploit weakness. This is not even including that she's gonna have magic attack up. She'll have whatever element attack up as well too. We know Matt allows her to have a really strong fire setup because Matt busts fire damage up on a character. Even just self buffs these characters have with their weapons and whatever the future brings. I think this is a very strong weapon to put into your arsenal of guaranteed at least one copy, and that way you have this ready to go. But if you do max this out with her new costume and all her old setups, Tifa is probably one of the best, not even probably, is the best DPS at the moment with that exploit weakness, because exploit weakness is a buff, so the enemy can't stop you. So eventually if they decide, you know what, yes, the enemy's weak to fire, you try to do fire resist down, but it's immune to fire resist down, like they're immune to magic defense down or physical defense down sometimes. This thing counts as a buff. So this makes Tifa very, very, very strong. So if you are someone who likes Tifa or wants to start using Tifa, this is the banner to go into. I don't know why I switched screens, because not only did she get a ridiculous costume and a new weapon, but she also has this new ultimate weapon, which is, ooh, there's new things I want to check out here, which is even crazier. So it's a 3 cast, premium hearts, 3 uses, and it does haste. She has a 3 cast haste R ability weapon. And if you guys look at the R abilities itself, it has attack boost, which is something questionable. Physical attack and magic attack are increased when the battle begins on high for 60 seconds. So if you don't want to, go in a situation where your healers, supports, buffing everyone because they're too busy putting up defenses and healing or whatever they're doing, there is situations where like stuff's really tight and you can't do everything. Her having guaranteed damage up is really strong. This is going to be really good for dungeon rankings. Any kind of dungeon ranking or battle ranking, this makes sure that she takes care of herself so she can be in any situation. Tifa just became super incredible with this ultimate weapon plus her new setup. Yeah, it's definitely a very powerful character, especially if you're a Tifa fan, and majority of people are. For me, I'm gonna make a whole video on what I'm doing because I'm in a situation where Vincent's coming out and it's just around the corner and I can't afford both Tifa, Aerith, and Vincent. By the way, I'm gonna make Aerith video separate because this video is already pretty long, I'm noticing. So I'll have those 2 poor skip videos side by side, and then hopefully an update video talking about everything that I've missed from the last year, of the last month that kind of went over my head as well too. A lot of quality of life changes, all that. But let me know what you think about Tifa. Happy New Year. Thank you guys so much for watching. Keep on smiling, and I'll smell you later.